Hello, welcome to Jason the Old Millennial. My name is Jason, speaking to you here in my basement in the great state of Kansas. Today's video, I'm tuning my series of reviewing all the Harry Potter movies and talking about them. This time I'm dealing with the 7th movie, which is based off half of the 7th book, which is Harry Potter and Deathly Hallows Part 1, based off the book Deathly Hallows, which is just one book, and it's just the first part of it. So yeah, let's delve into this movie and hear what I think. Hello everybody, hope everybody's doing well here on a Saturday afternoon. Doing well. It's still below zero here in Kansas, but it is supposed to get into the 30s this week, which would be amazing. Still below freezing, but at least it's above zero. That's all I asked for. Anyways, and yeah, it's still a lot of snow outside, and hopefully it won't snow anymore. But anyways, yeah, so get into the Harry Potter series. I'm now getting towards the end of the series. I'm on the 7th movie / book. And this is all thanks to my friend Briar from Briar's Music Showcase, who won a contest, trivia. I did a trivia on my channel, and he won the trivia contest. Anyways, and so he suggested this series for me to do, which I was happy to do because I'm a big Harry Potter fan. Love the books, love the movies. One of the best franchises of all time. Here's the movie itself, Harry Potter and Deathly Hallows Part 1. The 3 main characters in London, England there. And then here's the book, of course, Deathly Hallows. Let's see the other side. You can't see, but I think there's more to that picture than what you can see there. So this book was published in 2007. Thinking how long ago that was. It feels like it wasn't that long ago, but it was a while ago. These books, this is the last one was published of this huge series. It's overall 607 pages long, so pretty good length. Not as long as the 5th book, and I can't remember. I think it's not as long, or it might be as long as about the 6th book, but still pretty good size story to finish out the whole story. Anyways, lots going on in this book for sure. And it did really, really well, of course. And I remember this, of course, I was a big Harry Potter fan at this point. And I remember them talking about the last book coming out. And man, everybody was so excited. I mean, you definitely can feel the excitement when this book was coming out. And when it came out, everybody went and got it. Everybody had this book. From my research, it said over 8 million sold on the first day, which was a record. So, I mean, this is up there as one of the biggest selling books of all time. It's definitely like the biggest selling franchise, probably of books of all time. I can't think of anything that's done better than that. But so then they got around to making the movie, actually not that long after. It's interesting when you're making the movies and you haven't finished the story yet. And luckily, J.K. Rowling had kind of the ideas already in mind, I guess, to write the stories. And she did a good job of finishing these books up in a good amount of time, so they had time to make the movies. Unlike Game of Thrones, where they ended the series and the author still hasn't written all the books, which is a big problem. So that's one where you're thinking, boy, I hope, 2 things you're thinking about when you're going through the series, like, I hope J.K. Rowling finishes the book series so we can catch up with the book, with the movies. The other thing is there's lots of talk of all the actors continue on. There's lots of talks of actors might quit because it's a long, I mean, you're talking about 8 movies. This is the 7th of 8 movies. And it took, a while to get through. I don't know. This is 2000. I mean, so you're talking over 10 years plus of doing a role in a movie. And there was talks of, especially if the actors are starting to get older, they're starting to look older than the characters at this point, which the book series is taking place over 7 years, basically. Them growing up from 13 to, or 11 to 17, 18, whatever. when they get in there. And so there was talks of, oh, some of them might leave and get replaced. And of course, as a fan, you're like, man, I don't want to see it, because the casting's so good. You're like, I don't want to see anybody be replaced. I want to see everybody finish the series out. Unfortunately, of course, Dumbledore couldn't. Richard Harris died, but for most part, everybody finished the series, which was great. So that was a big thing, that like, oh, some might not finish the series, whatever, but they did. But yeah, so it's cool that they're making the movies and the books at the same time. So you're excited for the next movie and you're excited for the next book. And so it was such a great time as a Harry Potter fan. Now I think about it, I can't think of anything today that can come anywhere close to that time period as someone who likes movies and books. Anyway, so yeah, so very excited when this book came out, and the movie came out. The weird part about the movie, of course, I have to talk about is the fact that they made it into 2 movies. Of course, we just assumed Deathly Hallows would be one movie, the final movie, because every movie was just one movie. Even book 5, which is the longest book in the series, they were able to edit it down to one movie. They figured out how to do it. So I felt like this is not as long as the 5th book. And so I think a lot of us thought, surely they can find a way to edit this down into one movie. And then when they announced that we're making 2 movies, part 1, part 2, I think there was, I don't know if it's just me, but a lot of us were just like, what, 2 movies? Like, it felt like almost a cash grab. Like, we make 1 movie, but if we make 2, we're gonna make more money. And I don't know if that's true. I guess overall, the director and writer thought there's a lot of big moments in the book that would be hard to put in one. It'd be hard to cut out certain scenes to make 1 movie. So they thought it'd be easier to make 2 movies and try to stretch them out a little more. And you can fit on all the big moments, which I kind of get. There are some big moments that need to be done in this book, in this movie, to really capture the book. So I don't know, maybe they had the right idea, but it seemed like this was a trend that caught on real quick. For instance, The Hobbit came out, I remember, and at first they were like, we're gonna make 2 Hobbit movies, which were like, The Hobbit is a short book, and how do you make 2 movies out of 1? And then they even made 3 movies. So they made a trilogy out of a smaller book than all the other Lord of the Rings movies. So I felt like, that's weird. And I think it did hurt the movie. The Hobbit series was hurt by the fact that they made 3 instead of 1, in my opinion. Also Twilight, I know, their last book they put into 2 movies. And then the Hunger Games did the same thing. Their last book they put in 2 movies. And those are the instances I've heard. I feel like none of those instances have done well for the fans. I don't think anybody really liked the idea of having them split a book into 2, because the whole book is one thing. You want to see the whole story out. To have to do half of the book and then go, oh, wait for next time, it's kind of like, oh man, like the first movie seems like an incomplete movie because you just kind of stop kind of suddenly, it feels like. And that's kind of the problem with this movie as well. Saying that, talking about the book itself, this is my favorite book in the series, and that's probably because it's the last book, and she does such a good job of finishing all the stories, lines, and epic battle at the end between Harry Potter and all the good people against Voldemort and all the bad people. So great wizard epic fight. There's also, you have like, they break into the Ministry of Magic, which is the most difficult place to break into. They also break into Gringotts Bank, which is like one of the most difficult places to break into. So those are 2 great scenes, of course, in the book that they do in the movies as well, showing how they break into those places. And that's why I think they made it in 2 movies, because they wanted to really emphasize those 2 events, besides the last event, of course. They wanted to spend a lot of time in the final battle scene. So that's why they thought 2 movies would be better. But yeah, it's an amazing book. I can't think of a better way to finish the series with that book. And the fact, of course, we'll get into in the second movie, I guess, what they do with the book on that, what I like about that. But of course, this movie was directed again by David Yates. He directed the 5th and 6th movies, and so now he's going to do the 7th and 8th movie here. Steve Klove's come back to write. He wrote all of them except for, I think, the 5th one. As far as new actors, the only actor I kind of wrote down was Rhys Ifans, if that's how you pronounce his name. And he plays Xenophilius Lovegood or something like that, which is Luna Lovegood's father, who has a fairly major part. Has a really major part in this movie, especially. and is good, great casting, really well acted. I thought he did a really good job in this role, kind of playing this eccentric kind of character, of course, and all that. Besides that, everybody else kind of comes back from the other movies. This did get 2 Oscar nominations for visual effects and for art direction, so that's cool that I got some got some love there. Domestically, grossed 296 million, and worldwide 977 million. So overall, pretty good. This is 2010. By today's standards, these kind of movies actually make more money. You expect this to be $1 billion movie today, but this is back in 2010. And now I get to my positives and negatives. And I have a lot of positives for this movie. I actually really like this movie. I remember when I first saw it in the movie theater, I was, a little disappointed because the whole, splitting into 2 movies. And I'll get into the negatives here, I guess. But I think I definitely felt like this was a weak movie. And I think it was weak because I feel like they kept all the really good stuff for the second part. When I first saw it anyways. But on rewatch, I actually think this is actually a pretty solid Harry Potter movie. And it's actually one of my favorite. I say one of my favorites. It's actually towards the top half, I think, of the series, which might be surprising to some. Yeah, I think it's a really solid movie. And getting to my positives here. And part of the positives are for the book and for the movie. But of course, talking about the movie here, I do love the different story structure which is mostly because the book is this way, of course, and adapting to the movie. But 1 through 6, it's all, Harry Potter is waiting to go to school, to Hogwarts, and then he goes to Hogwarts, and he has classes, and he learns new things, and then the plot, develops there. And the whole movie ends with the end of the school. So the whole, what I love about the books is I love the idea that each book represents a different year in school for the kids, and so that's a great way of doing a series, I think. In this one, they don't go to school at all because at this point, Voldemort's kind of going wild, and the Death Eaters are attacking everybody. He's kind of taking over the Wizarding government in this book, in the movie, and so it's not safe to go back to Hogwarts for Harry Potter and Hermione and Ron. So they kind of go rogue, and they, of course, the whole plot is from the 6th movie is that they find out that Voldemort has I forget 6 or 7 Horcruxes, where part of his soul, he splits his soul, I think, in 7 places or something like that, and puts in different objects. And so now they need to go look for these different objects and destroy them, because you have to destroy every single Horcrux before you can kill Voldemort. Which is, like I said in the last one, I love that idea and that plot, and that whole reveal is just an awesome thing, idea that J.K. Rowling came up with. So yeah, so you get this really cool, okay, we need to find Horcruxes. We don't know how to find them. So it's a bit of a mystery movie of how do we find these Horcruxes and how do we destroy them? And so we kind of go through that process. And so that's so it's a bunch different than the other movies and books, which I kind of like that. They changed it up for this one. I remember the first time reading it, it really surprised me because you just assume they're going back to school and finish the last year of school, but they never do. Yeah, so another thing I will say is I thought the action was done very, very well. It's shot very well. I think this is one of David Yates' best. I was very critical of the 6th and 5th movies. I think he does it much better. I don't know what it is. David Yates, I thought, did a bad job with those 2 movies, but he did a really good job with these last 2 movies. So I don't know what to say about David Yates. Is he a good director? I'm not sure. I'm a little mixed on him, but I did think the very beginning scene where they have to get Harry Potter from the Dursleys' house to what's it called, to their, I think they go to the Weasley's house. It's kind of their headquarters or something. And so they do the polyjuice potion, and they turn all these other people into Harry Potter lookalikes. And then they each take aura or whatever, and a person takes a Harry Potter, and they know they're going to be attacked by Voldemort while they're traveling. And that whole scene was done extremely well. Every time I watch it, it's a really great action sequence with them flying and people appearing and shooting at them. They're fighting, and they even go down into street level, and then they're dodging cars. And I love Hagrid's got his his motorcycle with the sidecar Harry Potter's in, and it's a great sequence. I think really done well, really good in the book, really done well in the movie as well. Also, I think the forest chase scene towards the end of the movie I thought was done very, very well, where they get caught, the three main characters, and they're running through the forest and things are exploding because they're shooting, the bad guys are shooting, spells at them. And it's just a chase scene, but it's done very, very well. So I think overall shot very well directed. I think the whole breaking the Ministry of Magic is definitely one of the best parts of the movie, where they have to use Polyjuice Potion to look like somebody else and then get in, and then they're trying to find a certain Horcrux necklace that they know that one of the main members has. And that whole sequence where he has to find out how to get in and then get to them, and then there's what do you call them? It's all those flying things. Now I'm forgetting the names of them. I want not Death Eaters, but and he has to use Patronum, to deal with them, and he has to use different spells to get the Horcrux, and then they're being chased out of Ministry of Magic. It's all a really fun sequence, really done well here. Like I said, they do the Ministry of Magic scene here, breaking the Gringotts in the next movie. So they kind of split those two up because those are definitely two big scenes in the book, breaking those two places. So I kind of get why they kind of switched them up that way. But yeah, great scene. Also, they when they do get the Horcrux and they can't figure out how to defeat it, and then finally he finds the Gryffindor sword, and they know they can defeat it because it has part of the blood of the what's it called? And I'm forgetting, that big snake. And so basilisk or something like that. It has that blood, and so he knows that blood is poison or something, and they can destroy the Horcrux. And then Haran comes along because he's been gone for a little while. If you know the story, I'm spoiling a little bit of it, but he comes back and Harry has Ron destroy it. And before he destroys it, like all these images come up, trying to dissuade Ron from destroying it. And then Ron finally does stab it and kills it. It's a great scene. I actually thought they did a really good job with that. Again, the visual effects, it was nominated for visual effects. I thought the visual effects were really good in that scene. One of my favorite scenes of the movie. And then the last positive I'm going to say, I let this last because this is my favorite part of the whole movie, is when they find out about the Deathly Hallows and they go to Xenophilius Lovegood trying to look for Luna, I think, or something. Or no, he goes to him because he knows about the Deathly Hallows. And this is something that he didn't know anything about. And there's 3 Deathly Hallows, which that's the name of the book, the Deathly Hallows. So it's good because this kind of gives you some context of why it's called the Deathly Hallows. And and he explains, the story, he tells the story about these 3 wizards, and one wants the most powerful wand, so he'd be like invincible. One wants a cloak so he can hide himself, invisible cloak, and then one wants the stone that can make dead people come back alive or something like that. And so he tells that story, and you kind of find out that, those are 3, it's supposed to be a children's story, but then it's also really like 3 real, called the Deathly Hallows, 3 real items. And that's what, Voldemort's looking for, the wand, the Master Wand, whatever, that can't be defeated. And so they kind of know what Voldemort's going after. But the whole sequence is done so well because they do this really cool animation while he explains he tells the story of the 3 Deathly Hallows. And I love the animation, and it's done so well, and it really explains what's going on. And because when you read the book, of course, you're just reading what's going on, but I love the visual storytelling of the animation along with him telling the story. And it's very dark, and the animation's very dark, and I thought it was a very unusual source of animation that worked so well for the scene. Yeah, I think it's definitely a highlight of the scene because it's such a great reveal of the Deathly Hallows and done so well in the movie. Good adaptation of the book there anyway. So yeah, great scene. Yeah, so there's a lot of great stuff here. I give it a lot of positive, give a really good review here. If I say there's some negatives, there are 2 negatives I have that I think I'm sure a lot of people have on that. I think the big one is it does get very slow at times because there's a period after they break out of the Ministry of Magic, and Ron starts getting he wears the Horcrux, and I think that makes him become kind of a jerk and kind of become angry and jealous and all this. And so you get this moment where he decides he's going to leave them anyways. And then Harry and Hermione are by themselves, on this thing, and they don't know what to do, where to go. They got the Horcrux, but they don't know how to destroy it, so they're still trying to figure that part out. And it's a very slow moment in the movie where they're just kind of sitting around, just talking, not a lot of action going on. There's even a scene where Harry and Hermione are dancing by themselves for some reason. I guess it's supposed to morale booster to them, I guess. I don't know. It does feel like those scenes could have done without some of those scenes, and could have moved the story along a little quicker, the plot along a little quicker, get to the next part. But I suppose it's a part for you to kind of just, kind of slow down and kind of, realize how terrible situation they're in and all that. I guess in some character development maybe, but overall, yeah, I can see if someone doesn't like this movie, it'd be probably for that. It does get a little slow towards the middle. The other thing I don't like is the whole Harry and Ron fighting, which is the same thing as this slow period where Ron, again, I think he's kind of being, the Horcrux is kind of causing him to be terrible, but he's being really horrible to Harry, which it's weird because they're like best friends, but then they do have these big fights throughout the book series, which would end the friendship. And this is one of the big ones. And it's just and I understand the whole purpose of it, but it's just a very unpleasant part of the movie and the book itself. But especially in the movie, when it comes about, you're just like, man, I just hate this whole scene. I want to skip the whole part of the movie where they're trying to figure out how to destroy the Horcrux. And Ron's being a big jerk, and they're fighting, and then Ron leaves, and all this. Anyway, yeah, I just don't like that whole scene personally, but that's just a personal thing, I guess, because I get why it's there, but yeah, I just not stuff I like about it. I like when Ron and Harry are getting along. That's just me. But anyway, so that's just very few negatives, actually, and a lot of positives. Overall, I think it's a really good movie, really good adaptation of this book for the first half of the book. It's only covers half of the book, basically, but overall, really good. I really recommend it as part of the series. Of course, I recommend the whole series, but definitely one that's, I think, is underrated, I think, in the series, in my opinion. But yeah, that's my thoughts. Please feel free to comment on what your thoughts on the book or the movie is. Love to read them. I got one more movie to talk about, and then I'll be done with the series. Then I'll rank them at that point. So really enjoy watching these movies and getting to review them. And I just love this whole series. So thank you to anybody watching this video. Thank you for liking it. And thank you to all my subscribers for supporting the channel. I appreciate you all, and I hope you have a good day.